Edge compute is, of course, a relatively new technology compared to others, and one that has garnered a lot of attention and questions in general. Rob, what would be your advice to any organization contemplating the edge in terms of criteria, as well as the business value, if done correctly, that one can expect to receive? It would also be great if you could highlight some of those use cases, because we really find that that's what brings it to life.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, the first thing to do is stay grounded in, your business objectives and the business value that you're trying to deliver. I personally would never advise adopting a technology without understanding how that technology advantages the outcomes you're trying to achieve from a business, because that's at the end of the day what we're all here for, is to serve our clients and end users and help them get done the things that they need to get done. So begin there, but in that process, as you begin to realize the unique advantages that edge computing can bring to that, realizing that business value, and in some cases, it's almost an imperative. I mean, think about a vehicle that has visual analytics running on it to recognize when a ball runs in front of the vehicle that, maybe there's a kid right behind it. You need to stop this car now, apply the brakes. That's a decision that needs to be made in milliseconds. If you were to try to do that visual recognition in the cloud, and make a call from the vehicle up to the cloud to take this image and do that analysis, by the time the decision is made, by the time that it's realized that there's a kid running in front of the car and you've now activated the brakes, that could be too late. There may be other cases that aren't quite so egregious, but yet still where very quick time to decision making is particularly important. If you're a manufacturer and you're trying to examine, again, using visual analytics or perhaps acoustic analytics or some other technique, for recognizing the quality of assembly work that your machines are doing, and you're pumping out 100 or maybe more parts per minute, you only have a few milliseconds to decide whether that weld seam or that joint was formed properly before that part now is moving on to the next stage of your manufacturing process. So again, milliseconds matter here, latency matters. Another case, that's worth examining is one where, there's a lot of scenarios where what you're trying to do is recognize things. And I'll give you a good example. This is a discussion we had with a manufacturer. One of their problems is they lose parts on the manufacturing floor, right? A worker, puts a part down and forgets about it, and it gets lost, or parts get sent to the wrong station and not returned. Parts get lost on the factory floor. And so what they do today is they send out a team of people. They run up and down the aisles of the factory looking for these lost parts, collecting them, or bringing them back. What they would like to be able to do is, deploy an array of video cameras across the factory floor that are, simply trying to recognize and identify these kinds of lost parts and identify where they are, so that they don't have to randomly send people out. They can send people out to the very specific place where they know these parts might be lost. Well, so that requires video analytics. And again, the video processing can be done in the cloud or some central location. But if you've got 1,000 cameras arrayed across your factory looking for these parts, and you've got a 4K video camera, I mean, that generates a 50 megabit per second video stream. Now it's 20 megabits if it's compressed, which is fine, but still it's 20 megabits per second of video data being generated. And, it only takes a few hundred of those kinds of cameras to completely saturate your network. So instead, what they like to be able to do is move the video analytic out onto the intelligent camera itself. So that's just another example of where edge computing can benefit the outcomes that you're trying to generate. And so in those cases, the analytic that you might have already been building and constructing for running in your cloud now becomes a candidate for executing, in this case, on the video camera itself, or perhaps in some small server that is attached to that video camera, and does the job just as well. And the only thing you're really sending back to the cloud is the coordinates of where that part was found and identified. Look at the use case, look at the business that you're trying to achieve, and then start to make decisions about the placement where you want to put these pieces in the cloud versus in the edge.